We toured Colorado Springs and Boise 2 times, and here's why Boise won.
Don't go to Colorado Springs. Don't even think about it. Just go to Boise.
There you go.
They had $1 million to spend, visited both Colorado Springs and Boise, and still almost didn't choose Boise. In the next few minutes, you're going to find out why they changed their minds and the one surprising moment that made the decision very clear for them. So you can decide if Boise will be the right fit for you. Stay to the end for their tips on how to do a successful scouting trip as well.
Hi, I'm Amy Seigar, and I am from Florida.
And I'm James Dean. I grew up in Texas, and I've lived in Florida for the past 20 years before moving to Boise.
I'm Craig Flood with Living in Idaho, and we help folks moving to Idaho avoid costly mistakes by building custom shortlists, comparing communities, and connecting you to trusted lenders and builders.
Why did Boise beat Colorado Springs for your place to call home?
I think for me, it was absolutely the feeling of community here, the people. Growing up in Texas, I really got that same feel for the culture and the community. Everybody was just so nice.
I feel like if you want to make friends with strangers, that would just make you feel like you've known them for years. And this is the place, unlike any other place in the country that we've been. Especially because we're both moving out here. We don't have any friends or family. And so we decided that wherever we want to go, we want to find people who have similar interests and just kind of create that social network for ourselves.
And whenever we specifically went to Colorado Springs, and we went there twice, and we visited Boise twice as well. So each time we went to Colorado Springs, it just felt like everybody was just kind of doing their own thing. So it was very hard to get those like genuine conversations going. You would go into a grocery store or go into a coffee shop, and it was just very in and out type of service. Versus Boise, I felt like everybody was genuinely interested in how your day was going, what you got going on today. And it just reminded me of my childhood growing up in Texas. And it was really reassuring, and honestly made the transition feel that much easier.
What were your guys' must-haves?
I think our top priority was safety for sure. Safety and community, just safety, feeling like you can pretty much go wherever at nighttime and not have to worry about like any kind of petty crimes.
Whether I was out in the mountains or not, I wanted to see the mountains. And that's the great thing about the mountains, is you can just be driving around the valley and see them off in the distance. And for me, it gives me peace. That is my happy place. In Florida, it's like if you're not at the beach, you're not really seeing the beach. It was a drastic contrast for us to come out here and literally, no matter where you're kind of at in the valley, to see the mountains all around us. And more specifically where we're living at now, to open up our back slider, have a cup of coffee, and see the mountains all around us. It just sets the day off correctly.
You guys are living in Florida. It's not working. What caused you guys to consider leaving Florida? And then what got Idaho on the map?
He found it. When I first heard him bring up Idaho, I was like, you mean just potatoes?
So you're an East Coast gal.
Yep.
And Idaho, you're just thinking...
I didn't even know where Idaho was on the map.
Okay. Well, first, start with Florida. Why are you guys even thinking about leaving?
I think for me personally, I had been there for 20 plus years. I've lived in numerous different places, in like Tallahassee, in Bradenton. It shared a special part in my life, but I was ready to move on. And we both really, after talking, we really had a passion for living near the mountains.
And for me, I mean, I definitely agree with that. A big thing was that Florida just didn't have mountains. And growing up in Connecticut, I really missed the seasons. I got out of Connecticut because I thought I couldn't stand winter, but I learned that I really couldn't stand summer, like the true Florida summers. It's hot and hotter out there. For me, it was like having the transitions to have like excitement building up of like the seasons. You know, you look forward to the fall activities, you look forward to winter activities, spring, summer, so on and so forth. And I think it just makes life feel more vibrant and full with having all the seasons. So for me, that was a big thing too.
It sounds like you narrowed it down to Colorado and Idaho, specifically Colorado Springs, Boise, Idaho.
I had just done a ton of research. I was watching YouTube videos, a lot of your videos, and Idaho just seemed to it had a lot of check marks for us and what we were looking for.
What
And
were some of those check marks for you guys?
again, like we keep mentioning mountains, but mountains was a big one.
Yeah, safety for her.
Yep, safety.
Yeah.
Water. Coming from Florida, we still wanted to have some experience with water, and we knew there was a really beautiful river here. Travel a little bit north here, and there's again beautiful mountain systems, beautiful waters and lakes,
Trees.
and trees.
Yeah.
It's literally it's the best of all the work, all the things we were looking for.
Yeah.
To be honest,
It honestly started with like a general Google search of like mountain homes, and isn't just, you know, like a rural town, because that was another thing that was important for us that we didn't mention yet. We didn't want to be completely isolated.
we had considered Bend because we had traveled there and loved the river there, loved the mountains, like, loved all of the
Similarities.
lots of similarities. It just felt a little secluded. We do like to travel and take planes, you know, to different places overseas or Chicago or wherever it may be, and we felt like the airport was a little bit too far from Bend.
So for some of the cities that we had initially on our list, like we slowly started to really reevaluate what our true like top needs were.
Yeah.
And we finally like narrowed it down. So Boise came up on our Google search basically of like places that are backed up to mountains and foothills. That's how it made it on the list. And I was like, huh? Where the heck are the mountains?
Yeah.
You can call it mountain. Some people wouldn't call it mountain. Yeah,
True.
I mean, we just hiked Cervidae Peak, and that was 2,000 feet elevation. And like being in Anchorage, I did their like famous hike is called Flat Top, and it's only 1,500 feet only. I mean, it's still a hike. To have that so close, 30 minutes away, you know, we're amazed. Like
Yeah.
we're still being blown away of like being able to find the hikes that we could do even just locally.
And
Yeah.
especially coming from Florida where it's so flat, there's no a mound looks like a mountain out there. Like it's really nice to be again surrounded by the foothills and to only be 30 minutes to an hour into like really big mountain systems. And
So now talk to me. Boise, Colorado Springs, we're going head to head. Why did Boise win out?
For me, I already knew Boise was it. It took me to kind of almost convince him a little bit. It just feels like a place you can call home. It feels so welcoming. Like the environment here is just so clean and safe and peaceful. The people here, again, just make you feel so welcome. We went to Walgreens, and the cashier at Walgreens is striking up a conversation. How are you doing? What are your plans for today? You know, it just feels like everyone is your friend and like has genuine interest of creating relationships and connection. So that was the biggest thing for me. Colorado Springs felt like people were a little bit more standoffish, and it was harder to just find that genuine connection and have like good conversation going.
I loved Colorado Springs. Like I said, it took a little convincing for me to actually give Boise a shot. I think what it came down to is Amy mentioned it, a lot of those things, but also to get into the skiing or snowboarding, it's, I mean, you're fighting Denver traffic. Like you're about 2.5 hours away in
From
wintertime.
the nearest skiable area.
So even though you have these beautiful Rocky Mountains in your backyard or to look at, to actually get in there to really utilize those for skiing and snowboarding, those type of sports, it's literally a 2.5 hour drive. And, you know, it's here at Bogus Basin, it's like 45 minutes from where we're at right now. In the summertime, it's 30 minutes. In the winter, probably 45 to an hour. And that is so accessible. It feels like it's not a chore to get up there. Whereas in Colorado Springs, it kind of would have taken the excitement away, going into the mountains and enjoying the weekend.
All the traffic and the long commute in general. So
I hear that a lot of people looking to move out here, whether it's California, even Colorado, where it's like we used to be able to get up to the ski hill in 30 minutes. Now it's 2 hours each way. So now it's 4 hours. That's half your day.
yeah.
And then same in California, people talk about wanting to go to the beaches, and they're like, by the time you get down there and find parking and find a spot, they're like crazy. And we're not even that far away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a big selling feature with this area specifically is, again, you have a proper city. Again, you know, it's not a Miami. It's not, you know, a really big New York or something like that, but it has a lot to offer. Before we moved here, we heard, oh, there's not a lot of diversity in regard to foods. And I have to really disagree. I think people are staying kind of in a bubble and not really exploring areas, because it's not just Boise. You have Caldwell and other areas that have like some of the best Mexican food I've ever had. And I'm from Texas, so I've had great Tex-Mex and those type of things. And traveling to Mexico, we've had really amazing Mexican food. It rivals some of those cuisines that we've had. And it's not just that, but there's a really nice European restaurant that we love eating at locally. And it has a lot to offer if you just kind of get out of your bubble and go explore those different areas.
Yeah, even showing up here today, you had like all these treats from Poland that you grew up eating as a kid, which you picked up at a European kind of grocery store here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
great.
exactly. So it was really awesome because being on the East Coast, there's a heavy Polish population. There's not too many Polish people out here. I think I only know of one other person so far. So it was really awesome to see, though, that there's Eastern European people out here, and they, still have like European stores, European delis. You can find very similar things. It brings me back to my childhood, and it definitely makes it feel like that much more like home.
Are you planning a Boise scouting trip? Book a free 15-minute relocation consult. We'll build a custom shortlist, compare communities, and introduce you to trusted lenders and builders. We only open a few slots weekly, so grab one now at the link in the description below, or call, text, or email.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. How many scouting trips did you do to Boise, to Colorado Springs? What did it take to get you to the point where you were like, we're making a decision?
The initial trips were just to fill out the cities in general. So we didn't even go look in the neighborhoods. We wanted to just get a feel.
Yeah.
Is this a place that we could move to and become a part of this community, and really see ourselves living here for like the long term versus just a couple of years. Figure out what your interests are, like what you enjoy doing on a day-to-day basis. For us, it's going to coffee shops, it's going to eat, it's going on walks in the parks, kind of exploring the downtown areas and then just the features that certain city is known for. So we did those things, and each time it was a resounding that Boise was the clear winner in that. It just felt like no matter what we experienced, what was on that list for us, it just felt more natural. The second trips really like nailed that down for us, because I was still really open to Colorado Springs despite that. I was fighting.
You're just ignoring.
I was fighting it.
That are poppy.
I was fighting it, and that's a downfall, I guess, sometimes for me as I overanalyze things. I'm like, maybe it was just a one-time thing. So we had the opportunity to go back to Colorado Springs, and we did, and it was kind of the same thing. It was great experiences, but it was just a different feeling. It was, it's hard to put it into words. Whenever we made the second trip to Boise, it was almost like this is locked in.
It still felt really good.
In,
yeah, like it felt the same way how we first felt the same, like the first time about it. It was like a hidden gem. Like James was saying, is hard to put into words. Didn't change. So, and it still hasn't changed, even coming back a third time and finally like settling in here. Felt really good. Like it felt like a place where we belong. Colorado Springs, we only found one or two neighborhoods that we felt like we liked. A lot of the houses there were 2-story and like massive. We couldn't find a house that was like around 3,000 square feet, what we were looking for. Everything was like 4.5, 5, because they had the basements. And for just the two of us, it's like, this is a way too much house. And a lot of them were darker too, which was interesting. We noticed like the buildings here, the houses here are like embody big windows, like allowing a lot of natural light and allowing the nature inside. So much of the houses out here, we just thought that we would be able to find like our dream home more so out here than out there.
So now fast forward, you guys have narrowed it down to Idaho, to Boise, to the Treasure Valley, so these surrounding cities. What 3 neighborhoods did you pinpoint and why? And then why did you end up in the one that you're in now?
So I'll start with Legacy, because that was the one that was the farthest out from where we kind of had interested in. Legacy was a big neighborhood, and it's beautiful. It's like very well manicured, and it just looks great. Like it shows great. And it had the most opportunity for houses that we were looking for. We were looking for a house with an RV garage, having a little bit more land and a little bit more privacy. And then just Legacy offered a lot of amenities with their HOA. And you can get mountain views from that area too, which was really awesome. But yeah, ultimately it came down to like the biggest bang for our buck in that area. Price per square foot wise was more reasonable. The houses were a little bit bigger.
And yet it didn't win.
It didn't win because it was a little bit too far away. Like even though you had views of the mountains, it just felt so distant. And that was the whole point of us moving to Idaho, or moving to a city with mountains, is to be closer to them. So it really came down to that. It wasn't, the physical location was just a little bit too far away from the mountains.
Okay.
The mountains in downtown, because
And-
we also love going out to eat, going out for drinks and stuff. So we wanted to be closer to where that was too. And it was like a 30-something minute drive
Without traffic.
without traffic. And also, you know, he works downtown. So that would have been a long commute for him.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now Legacy's off the table. What are the other two communities that are still on the list?
Yeah, so we wanted to be closer to the foothills. We fell in love with the foothills when we first came out here. So Dry Creek and Avamore were the two that we had a really difficult time deciding between.
So we started looking at homes in Avamore and realized that after walking the properties, you get a lot of road noise from, I think it's 55. Is that
55 cuts.
55? Yep. So even despite being, not even seeing 55, sometimes you really hear it. It's a very, especially on the weekends or where there's holidays, there's a lot of traffic moving in and out of that area. Our last house that we had, it was backed up to a main road. So road noise was just, there was no peace, there was no quiet. And that was a hard no for us. If we were hearing road noise, even from where we were at in the foothills, even having those beautiful views, it was enough for us to mark off a lot of those properties. And when we did that, we realized that the ones that we wanted were just out of our budget because they were so much further back, and so much larger, and it wasn't going to work for us there.
So now let's talk about Dry Creek. So where you guys landed, why did Dry Creek win out? It's got the foothill views. It's quieter. You're further away from 55.
Yep.
What else made it a fit for you guys?
Yeah, so we're in the part of Dry Creek where it's already developed, and we didn't want to have to deal with construction going in and out.
New construction comes with its own issues, and that's that if they're still building within that community, building around the home site that you're at, you're going to have a lot of construction noise. You're going to have a lot of traffic, a lot of dump trucks coming through. And that after seeing it firsthand, we realized we wanted to hone in on the more established part of Dry Creek. So that landed us on our search here. So we got really focused and streamlined as to where we wanted to be. And
Yeah. I think another thing I just want to add to that, though, too, on Dry Creek, it's a little bit closer than Avamore, not by much, but it is nice to just be like 5-10 minutes away from the grocery store and to be like that much closer into town rather than being a little bit further away. And you're still in the foothills. So like we get to experience the foothills every single day.
I just want to give you guys some bearings on what you're hearing right now and show you on a map where some of these places are. So again, they kind of talked about how Boise, Idaho hit their radar. So this is going to be Boise. And when you start to get familiar with the area, you start to kind of explore this other area, and we're going to call that the Treasure Valley. Treasure Valley is going to be Eagle, Star, Meridian, Kuna, Nampa, Caldwell. That's really going to make up the Treasure Valley. Now, if we zoom in a little on this, they ended up in a little community right here called Dry Creek. It's also right next to another foothill community called Hidden Springs. And you've also heard them talk about Avamore. So Avamore is just going to be up the road a little bit, and this is Highway 55. Highway 55 is a very busy road, creates a lot of street noise and traffic. And you can kind of see that Avamore right here is really butted up against Highway 55. Let me clean this up for us here. And Avamore, a lot of growth is happening out there. You got a lot of the community out there. My mom just bought a home out there. You got a lot of community out here, and then it's just going to get built up on all sides. Now, 55 gives you access. As you can see, it's like your only really road. There's no roads over here. There's no roads over here that are running vertical really, except this one. But it's really your access point to get up into the mountains and to get to the lakes and the evergreen trees and all that stuff. And so you can imagine what that road might look like on a Friday or a Sunday when everybody's coming back into town. So that's kind of what they're referencing there. Now let's talk about the communities that they were specifically interested in so that you can see where they're at on the map. They mentioned Dry Creek, they mentioned Avamore, and they mentioned Legacy. So if we zoom in on the map here, I'm going to swing up a little bit. This is going to be that Dry Creek area. Again, that's going to be Avamore right there. And then if we zoom all the way over here, this is going to be Legacy. You're going to see all the ponds that they have here, so the man-made ponds. And he mentioned that this Legacy felt too far away from everything. So they work downtown, so this is going to be downtown Boise, Idaho area over here. And these are kind of the main roads right here, State Street, Shinden, Interstate 84. And for them, they wanted to be closer to downtown, closer to work. And he's going to talk about where he loves his commute into work. The reason he loves his commute into work is because it's through the foothills, and then he kind of sneaks into downtown right there.
And then another big thing was Dry Creek promotes that they don't have the CID taxes here at all.
Now, she just mentioned CID taxes. I want to explain that real quick. CID stands for Community Infrastructure District. It's basically an extra property tax that helps pay for the roads, utilities, and other infrastructure in newer developments. So instead of the developer covering all of the costs up front, homeowners chip in over time through this special tax. Now, some communities like Avamore have a CID tax, while others like Dry Creek do not. Dry Creek being right there. And something that Dry Creek really promotes is the fact that they don't. Because if you're looking at mountain communities like this, foothill communities, you're probably going to be thinking about these two, and that's one way to compare and contrast. That really makes a big difference in monthly costs, and it's something that you definitely want to pay attention to. Now, let's talk about HOAs. They're going to talk about what their experience has been like because they've lived in communities with HOAs and communities without HOAs. And they've been in communities where the HOAs were pretty severe. And now they're going to compare what are the HOAs like in Dry Creek compared to their previous experiences. And hopefully this is helpful to you guys. A lot of you sometimes will ask me about what is the severity and what are the HOAs like out here.
It's been great here. Like honestly, in Florida, the HOA members would walk through the community in the mornings and by the afternoon send out letters for just the silliest of things. And it's almost like they had nothing better to do. And sometimes they don't. Like an HOA isn't really a hassle here. It's not like a lot of other HOAs that people may have experienced or have heard horror stories about. We've only been here for 4 or 5 months, but there's been no issues whatsoever.
What moment or place made you guys decide Idaho could be home?
It was driving down Cartwright Ranch Road, seeing like how every single turn showed you like a whole new section of the foothills area. And then eventually you like hit this hill and you just see downtown Boise opening up, and it's just so glorious and beautiful, especially during sunset. I can't believe that we have access to this so close to town and doesn't feel like we have to drive hours out for this. So
I think, I mean, I'll mirror that. Honestly, it was the driving through these areas and really realizing that, wow, you can literally live like right up against these beautiful mountains, these beautiful foothills, and have the access to downtown. And there's actually things going on every single weekend here, because that was one of my biggest concerns. Again, I'm like, Boise, Idaho, there's probably gonna be nothing going on. Maybe some like, I don't know, some like pastures that you can like frolic in or something. I don't know. But it was the complete opposite. I feel like every weekend that we're here, and we enjoy the outdoors, but every weekend we're here, there's always something going on.
I mean, I'm just so amazed. Like we got a newspaper letter in the mail, and it's like classes to sign up for, and people are like, you know, just like offering their time to teach like these small classes at a local high school of like how to paint, Spanish. There's fitness classes, just a wide variety of things. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is so cool. Like it's such a community oriented place. I don't think I've ever lived in a place yet that has had something going on every single weekend.
We love going to concerts. We love those type of things. And I feel like there's actually a lot of big acts that come through here. And if they're not coming here directly, they're coming, you know, to Salt Lake, which is only, you know, it's a 4 or 5 hour drive, or it's a quick flight away. It's you're located around a lot of events that are happening. Again, if it's not specifically in Boise, it's something going on, like the wine festival that just happened this past weekend. My neighbor just told me that they went to, I think it was Walla Walla area, for
The
like
wine country.
Yeah, the wine country out there. They stayed out there, and again, there's just so much opportunity and so much more than what I was expecting, which is a pleasant surprise.
All right, we got to hit on this. There are things to do in Boise, and what he was just talking about is how you have access to other things outside of the Treasure Valley. So let's look at a map and kind of show you the different circles that if you continue to go out on, it just opens up more and more possibilities. So again, just for reference, this is going to be Boise. Now, he just mentioned Salt Lake City, which is going to be right down here, as a good place to go for concerts or anything. It is a large city. It makes Boise feel small. Great airport, good shopping, good events. Next, he mentioned a friend going to Walla Walla. So Walla Walla is going to be right there. Great wine in Walla Walla. In fact, we even have great wine here in the Boise, Idaho area. We have our own little vineyard area over on the Snake River. And again, if we look at a map, this is Boise, but then you're gonna get all this good wine country right there at your fingertips. And then some things that didn't get mentioned that I want you guys to know about. Again, you have Wyoming right next door, you have Montana, so you have the national parks in both of those. So think the Tetons, you have Jackson Hole, Wyoming, right about here. You have Glacier National Park at the top of Montana, right about there. And then you have all these different areas to explore in Utah as well. Like for example, Zion National Park, located right there. So tons of great options as you continue to move out from Boise. So it's not just what is offered to you in Boise, Idaho, but it's what's offered on a 5-hour drive or a 6-hour drive or an 8-hour drive.
Give me numbers. So we're up here in Dry Creek Ranch, pretty close to Eagle, technically addressed as Garden City. But talk to me about drive times. Drive times to get out to maybe the foothills. Drive times you work downtown. What's a drive time for you there? Drive time to a grocery store. What are some tangibles here for you guys?
Yeah, for me, I work downtown, so it's nice because there's two ways to get there. You can go through the foothills, which is a beautiful drive, or you can go down. Is it
State Street?
State Street? Yeah. I typically go the back way, just because of it. Again, I enjoy driving. I enjoy the view when I go into work. It puts me in a great mood. So I get there and I'm already in a fantastic mood. For me, it's about 25 minutes in traffic. I work overnight, so I typically go in around 7 or 8 p.m. So there's no traffic on the roads at that time. And coming home it's the same. I get off around 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m. and I'm going against traffic. So I'm not ever meeting traffic in that regard.
My commute to Meridian, it's usually in the morning times, anywhere between 8 and 10 a.m. So to just kind of put to reference, basically from here to 84, it's about a 30-minute drive. So the traffic is a little bit tough in the mornings. Sometimes it's not. It really honestly also depends on the day of the week. Without traffic, it takes like 15-20 minutes, but with traffic, it's about 30 minutes or so. The drive to Bogus Basin is 45 minutes from here.
Yeah.
Now again, his drive time is from here and then he takes the back road all the way to Boise. Her drive time is here. She goes down 55, cuts over, and then takes Eagle Road. Eagle Road is a really busy road, kind of big and nasty. Nobody really likes driving on it, but she kind of made that comment where it takes her about 30 minutes to get to work. In addition to that, they said it takes them about 45 minutes to get to Bogus Basin. And again, they would kind of take this back road and then instead of cutting down, they would cut up to Bogus Basin up here.
And then what about grocery stores, Costco?
What's the grocery store we go to right down here?
Winco.
So we go to Winco, which is 5 minutes away. It's a very quick drive, and it's one that we kind of slept on a little bit. It's a really nice grocery store. It's great prices.
Great value.
Yeah, great
So
value.
when you move somewhere new, you get these new stores.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I'm not used to going to that. Let's say it could be a great fit.
Starbucks is like 7 minutes away.
And then Costco.
I don't know. I
Convenient?
think it might be like 20 minutes. We haven't done a Costco trip yet, but Trader Joe's is close to. It's about 15 minutes. So,
But to really get like really into the woods, like into the spruce trees and those type of things, it's probably 45 minutes to an hour north of here. McCall is what, about an hour and a half or so?
yeah. I mean, we're on the farthest north end, though, of the area. So to go to McCall, it's really easy.
Now they were just talking about how long it kind of takes to get into the woods, and they specifically mentioned McCall. Let's talk about that real quick. So this is McCall, Idaho up here. This is Cascade. And this is Eagle right about here. Then you see this road. This is the road that you would take to get up to those. In addition to that, it's not until you really get to Banks where the scenery really starts to change in southern Idaho. Now again, that's where they are. This is Banks. This is going to be Garden Valley. This is Crouch. Once you kind of cross this line, everything goes from kind of like rolling hills that don't really have a ton of trees on them to just evergreens everywhere. And you really start to get the sense that you're in the mountains. It's really, really beautiful, and it's not too far out of town. Maybe from where they're at to getting into the trees is about 45 minutes.
What has surprised you guys now that you've lived here for a few months that you're only going to probably figure out from living here? So you did all the research you could. You guys were really diligent with that. But now that you've lived here, kind of what has been like, oh, interesting.
I think going back to my statement, I didn't think there would be much to do out here. And, even the way that it made me feel here, I felt fantastic. It felt like a very easy move out here. That our people were out here, outdoors and etc. But I feel like there's always something to do here. There's literally every weekend there's something going on. Throughout the week there's things going on. Unfortunately, I'm working some of those times, and it's one of the few places I've ever lived where, again, I'm missing out on things versus
Yeah, it feels like FOMO.
it feels like FOMO. Yeah, and I was just so surprised. Before I came here, I was looking at things to do in Boise, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't really look like there's too much going on. I mean, maybe we can go on hikes, but that's going to get old. But actually physically being here, it's completely different because you're kind of in the community. You're a part of things. You're getting invited out to go to events that you didn't even know would run across your radar otherwise. And it's the outreach from your coworkers, your friends that you're making that have really made it like really special to move here. And it's been no regrets whatsoever.
I did not realize that wildfires are a real thing. I thought that was something that was in California, but we didn't know how to prepare for a wildfire. We've never really thought about it, but it was really cool. We were reassured by some people that the wildfire response out here is taken very seriously, and they'll do everything to prevent any kind of structural damage, even like a small barn. They pride themselves on not having to really having a clean history of very minimal structural damage.
Yeah, it was really, really reassuring to see how fast it was put out. Amy was at work. I was here. I was actually outside washing her car, and I noticed it was pretty smoky, and these planes kept flying above, and didn't really know what was going on. And I happened to peek around the corner of our house, and there's just this large thing of smoke. Literally within a couple of hours after that, they had it fully contained. I think a couple popped up throughout the night, but they were on top of it. And I was very appreciative. They work amazingly hard out here.
So that fire that they're talking about, that was about 1.5 miles. I remember when it happened because my mom called me. She was in Avamore. She saw the smoke. And I'm going to show you on the map where that was, and then also show you some drone footage of it to show you the aftermath. Now this is where Dry Creek is located. This is where the fire was, and that's about 1.5 miles right there. And as you can see in these drone shots here, you kind of see the hillside is kind of burnt and dark. And in fact, there is a house still out in the middle of that, but there was no loss of property on this fire. The fire department is really good, like she said, about managing these fires.
If somebody was moving from out of state, moving to Idaho, what do you guys wish you knew day one hitting the ground here that would have been helpful?
I wish we knew day one how awesome it is here, because I think we would have come out faster.
Yeah, I think we missed. I wish we could have come out here a couple of years before the boom.
When the market was still really popping.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, I feel like home values are just going to continue to increase. It's still, still a very sought after area, not just Hidden Springs, but so I don't think it's ever a bad time to move out here. I think housing prices are just going to continue to go up. So I wish we had realized this sooner and bought a couple of years ago.
For someone planning a Boise scouting trip, figure out if it's a good fit. What's your one piece of advice?
Please do your own research beforehand. It helps narrow the focus of that trip, and really you get the most out of that trip. You're probably only gonna have a couple of days there. For us, we specifically did these trips in 3 or 4 days. We didn't have the time to spend a week there or 2 weeks. Maybe other people would have that, but it really helps no matter the amount of time that you have to really do your own due diligence and researching the areas that you may be interested in moving to. What are the political landscapes of that area? What does it align with the values that you foresee in your future? And I think the proper preparation really plays a big part in that. I
think that whenever you're coming here, make sure you just do the things that you want to do, have fun, put yourself in this situation of exploring like what things you would be potentially interested in, especially coming out here. Like, we don't have access to hiking in Florida. We don't do that very often. So we want to see what it actually truly feels like to get a hike in. You know, there's a ton of like estuaries where there's horses.
Yes. Equestrians is a weird one. Equestrian. I mean, you guys have one here.
Right.
Equestrian.
Yes.
I can't even, yeah. No.
Like,
there's some words that catch
you know,
me.
like a lot of people ride horses out here.
Yes.
So that's really unique. That's so cool. Like, go and take a lesson, or, you know, go hunting. I don't know. Like, there's so many like outdoor things out here. Like, that's like out of the norm, that takes you out of like your normal life experience, but like gives you the essence of what Idaho and Boise has to offer.
And also a weird bit of advice too is imagine it on like kind of one of your worst days when you're not feeling the best.
Yeah. I like that.
And like for us, again, like the nature, the mountains are really our like happy place. And when you're driving through the foothills here, and you know, we're trying to put ourselves in that headspace, like I'm having a really bad day now, like does this really make me happy? Like can I really see myself living in this type of area? And for us, it was a resounding yes.
Every place that we went, we wanted to picture ourselves, if we're having a really bad day, like, are we still happy here? Or does this place make it even worse?
I tell my wife I would travel a lot, and when we lived in Oregon, I would travel a lot. And then when we moved here too, I've just been to a bunch of different places. And I don't know how I put it, but I'm like, I'm always happy when I'm getting on a plane. I feel like I'm coming back to vacation or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, this is a great place.
Yeah.
I don't really care to leave too much.
Honestly, it's been so awesome because like we've been talking to people who have lived here a long time. And they say like, I love traveling everywhere, but I love even more the feeling of coming home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so powerful. Like, I've never heard anybody really say that they love coming home. Oftentimes you hear about people, especially have been around for a long time, I can't wait to get out. You know, I can't wait to go somewhere. And it's fun to experience new places, but it's like been a consistent theme that people are just so happy to come back home.
And I think that was the big thing for us, the realization in moving from Florida to Boise, Idaho, is instead of taking vacations out here, flights out to here, let's actually live. Like, let's live on our vacation, and then we can, you know, we can travel to the beach. We can go back to Florida and do those in 5 or 7 day increments, and really be in the place that makes us the most happy.
Yeah.
And that was a very powerful moment whenever we realized that. It's like, it's a big jump for us, but it's been so well worth it.
When I talk with people about relocating out here, maybe they say they love the beach or whatever it is. I was like, okay, well, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but say you go to the beach 10 times a year, 5 times.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more than that, but it's like, what about the other 360 days a year? And is it okay if you just hop on a plane to go do those same things, and maybe you're inconvenienced for a little bit, but yet your day to day, what does that look like? And can it be a whole lot better here than it is somewhere else?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you can always hop on a plane and go somewhere.
Yep.
Yes. Especially here, because the airport is so easy. It is. I just took a flight over to Portland and drove back yesterday, and it's just so easy to utilize the airport here. Like, and it has a lot of direct flights to big cities, Chicago, and the West Coast, etc.
Let's look at the Boise airport real quick. Now, you're going to have a lot of great direct flights to Washington, Oregon, a ton in California, Nevada, Salt Lake City, Utah, Denver, Colorado, Bozeman, Montana, Minneapolis, Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth. Speaking of flights, that leads right into the next thing. Are you planning a scouting trip to Boise? Book a free 15-minute relocation consult at the link below, or call, text, or email. On the call, we can help you confirm if Idaho is going to be a good fit. Define your scouting trip goals. Again, we only do a few of these calls a week, so be sure to book a time at the link in the description below.